We're being technical.
Conference,
Game
okay?
2 tonight, 8:30 Eastern, ESPN, Western Conference Finals. We gave Shump that long to get over his sickness as he's joined now by Dave McMenamin, who joins the conversation. Dave, you were just at shoot-around. What can you tell us about how Anthony Edwards is going to approach Game 2 after being held under 20 in Game 1?
Yeah, Matt, Mike Conley, the Wolves point guard, said that Ant wasn't necessarily sick, but angry coming back to the team in the last couple of days as he trying to process that disappointing Game 1 loss. And, you know, part of his approach, Ant told us, was he's going to get off the ball. He felt like he can get better looks maybe as a catch-and-shoot guy in Game 2. Obviously, his shooters didn't really make their shots in Game 1. He led the league in three-pointers made in the regular season. Now he gets a chance to be that guy if he's playing off the ball. Mike Conley said in order to help Ant do that, it's not necessarily how we play. It's reminding him, get off the defensive glass. We need you to get out in transition. We're going to find you. And when we run plays, it's going to be for you anyway.
Yeah, and look, Iman, he doesn't lack confidence. He's gone on the record multiple times saying he's one of, if not the best player in the NBA. He came up short in Game 1. So what do you think Ant needs to do differently tonight if Minnesota is going to win?
I think Ant's approach needs to be just more of a professional mindset. I think that he needs to come into Game 2 understanding you're not going to get the call. Tell your whole team, 1 through 15. Nobody's getting calls tonight, and we're not looking for them. We're not searching for them. We're coming out here. We're ready to play. We're getting stops. We're getting rebounds. We're getting out in transition. We're making things fun again. I thought Game 1, they did a lot of relying and putting the game in the ref's hands. You put it in the ref's hands, you see how it's going to go. We got an MVP on the other side now. When you're coming into this mindset, you understand now he's not only going to get those calls that he got Game 1, he's going to get a couple extra calls now that he's an MVP. So be expecting it, be ready for it, but be a professional. Now's the time for you to grow up a little bit and understand that you have a window of opportunity to get a championship and become scary in this league, and that's what he needs to do.
Iman, quick follow-up on that. If you're Minnesota, how do you not go into this situation and almost become desperate to get the winning Game 2, knowing how important Game 1 was?
I mean, the desperation has to be there from a hustle standpoint, from a go out there and, you know, put it all on the line standpoint. But I think that those guys also have a Mike Conley, who is a veteran that's been here. He's been to the mountaintop. He's seen everything. And now he has to sort of communicate to those younger guys and everybody else in that locker room on how to get stops, how to make sure we get rebounds, how to get extra possessions, and what to do with those extra possessions when we get them.
Yeah, and look, Dave, we know Oklahoma City's defense was absolutely fantastic in Game 1, so the T-Wolves mentally preparing for that physicality tonight, what are they going to do?
Yeah, Rudy Gobert said that they recognize that the Wolves fouled them. That's part of their defensive plan, and they have to play through it. And they said on the other end, they recognize that the refs are going to award Shai Gilgeous-Alexander the MVP with fouls. And either scenario, whether there's fouls not being called against them or there being fouls called for the Thunder, Rudy Gobert said we just need to play through it mentally. And that comes down to the edge that they want to bring to tonight, period. In every facet of the game, they recognize that it was not our best effort. However, if we played kind of the way we played in the first half of Game 1 for the entirety of Game 2, we're looking at a vastly different series as we head back to Minnesota for Game 3.
Yeah, tall task. It's loud there in Oklahoma City, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, ESPN. Dave McMenamin, you are released. Iman, you hang out. Jermaine O'Neal going to join the fun coming up in just a bit. What else could you want? What a night. Madison Square Garden. The Pacers beat the Knicks in Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. Iman Shumpert is back with us. We are also pleased to be joined by former Pacer and 18-year NBA veteran Jermaine O'Neal. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. And Jermaine, here's what you're going to do. Iman, you get the Knicks side. Jermaine, you obviously get the Pacers side. And I want to start with you from that perspective. What does a win like that do for the locker room?
I think, obviously, these guys have had a great run already. They've shown that, no matter what the lead is, they can always be in the game and win the game. But the biggest thing for me when it comes to the Pacers is the depth, right? I think New York is, they're relying on two guys to go heavy on the scoring part, but the Indiana Pacers rely on the team. And that's a devastating component to, when it comes down to winning games, especially in the playoffs.
Yeah, and look, Iman, it's not the what, it's the how. What does a loss like this in a game you were in complete control of do to a team's psyche now heading into game 2?
It raises some questions. You know, everybody's natural reaction when you have something like that happen down the stretch. When you have something like that happen down the stretch, your natural reaction is to start harping on things, start overanalyzing things. But if you're the Knicks in this position, what you got to do is come out there with the same game plan. Make sure you take care of home floor. Don't overreact to what just happened, even though it hurts. Halliburton, it hurts, man, to see a villain do what villains do, using the choke move, pointing at Reggie. I know all that stuff is going on, but when you're the Knicks, you have to sit in that locker room and understand game 1 was game 1. You lost. It's okay. You come out here, you win game 2, you take care of home floor. You go out there, you try and steal one on the road, and then you make the series a series again. You can't get too involved in it, even though it hurts. It stings, I understand, but you got to stay professional. You got to keep your eyes on the prize and understand it was just one game. You got to steal one in Indiana now.
Yeah, look, they dominated that entire game, literally up 9 with 58 seconds left. It just didn't go their way. And, Jermaine, I have to get your reaction to the choke from Halliburton.
Well, it's legendary. You know, he's building off what Reggie is, you know, legendary that Reggie's built in the Garden. Yeah, I'll tell you this. You know, one thing I liked about Halliburton, he tunes out the noise. He goes out and play the game that he knows he's capable of playing. They have a really, really deep team. And the one thing that I haven't heard many people talk about was the genius of Rick Carlisle. He is literally one of the best coaches that we've ever seen. And teams are a reflection of the coach. And they buy into his philosophy. He always has them ready to play. And in the
Jermaine O'Neal there talking about Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle did that in Dallas. He went to the Dallas Mavericks, and then he led them to a championship. So he has certainly proven that in the big stage, Iman, that he can get it done. And I'm curious from your perspective of the history of this rivalry, what makes a series like this, which is a historic NBA rivalry, so intense to play in?
I think that's what I love most about Tyrese Halliburton. He is studying the game. He is a part of all the history. He is submerged in it. You could tell he is watching those old highlights. He is watching those old games. He feels what the city feels, and he's putting on for that. I think that when you go back and you research the Knicks against the Pacers and you see some of these rivalries, you see some of the technical fouls, you see Reggie Miller doing the choke symbol. Him doing that is just an ode to how submerged he is in history right now, and I love that for him.
Yeah, and it's so fun to watch.
Yeah, it's so fun to watch. It's inspiring to watch because he's taking on the challenge. A lot of guys sort of stay away from it. They don't want to do that because it makes you a marked man. He is showing you over and over again, I'm going to take the big shot. I don't care about the pressure that comes with the situation. And if you're the Indiana Pacers, that brings a whole lot of confidence to your locker room.
And Jermaine, from that, in the history, and you came into the league during the heyday when these rivalries, you would get at it. How chippy does it get? What's it like on the court when you're in a 7-game series with, quite frankly, a team you just don't like?
Man, you know, in the NBA, it's all about, you know, where your mental is, right? And I think from a perspective is, you know, how physical can you be for the longest period of time? The Indiana Knicks series has been a thing forever, and to see it being reignited has been just amazing to watch. I watched it last night, and I was like on the edge of my seat, and I've been in many games, right, watching these type of games. But, you know, it's amazing the endurance, the mental endurance that the Indiana Pacers have. You know, they've had 3 games now in the playoffs where they've been down late in games. And they were down in the first round against Milwaukee, down 7 with 40 seconds to go and win that game. In the second round, you know, down 7, you know, with 50-something seconds to go against Cleveland. And now, you know, down 14 with, you know, 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go. You know, it's pretty amazing, man. And you gotta, you know, take your hat off to, you know, the Indiana Pacers and their coaching staff.
So now we have a situation where the Pacers literally went into the Garden and stole one. So, Iman, how does New York bounce back? Game 2, get the split, get out of there.
You make things easier for Jalen Brunson. I think that, you know, we love to see him score 40. We love to see him score whenever he's scoring. But I think that the Knicks overlook the fact that Jalen Brunson does a whole lot and exerts a whole lot of energy scoring that 40. And I would just like for things to look a lot easier for him. I would like it to be more pick and roll, him being able to split or just get around that hedge defender and have a 1-2 step into a nice simple jumper. Not so much ISO, not so much beating banging against guys and trying to make a play at the rim. I just think he goes through a whole lot, and at the end of the game, sometimes he's a little gassed, and rightfully so. I don't want to have that much pressure on him at the end of the game. I think we should take that pressure off. I love what they were doing when he was sitting out, but the moment he came back in, I felt like we loaded him with the ball more and more. I just want to see things easier for him. If we can see things easier for him and we can see things in transition again with the Knicks, everybody's having fun, everybody's playing together, I think we have a good time game too, and then we head into Indiana with some confidence.
Again, they were in control. On the other side of this, Jermaine, Indiana got what they came for. You want to get one on the road and go back home. So how free can they play now in game 2, having got that in game 1?
I think you have to understand, what happened in that game. I don't know if it's, obviously they had an amazing run, with the threes falling, but you have to also go back and look at the things that they didn't do as well that got them down, to 17 points, in that fourth quarter and the 14 points with 2 minutes and 40 seconds to go. You got to stay hungry. You got to understand that one isn't good enough, right? If you can take 2, it puts the Knicks in a very, very difficult position to try to win the series.
And finally, I'm putting you two on the court in the Garden today. Who's winning a game of 1-on-1 and 21 right now between you two?
1-on-1 and 21? I got to use my youth, J.O. I got to use my youth, man. I'm going to do a lot of running, a lot of moving around. We're not doing the dribble limit. Nope, as many dribbles as I want. We're going to move the ball, move around a lot, man.
3 dribble rule, I win it.
There you go. And there's a 6-inch height advantage. I don't know, man. Jermaine looks like he can still get me 20 and 10 right now. Hey, guys, great stuff. Looking forward to game 2. You guys have been fantastic throughout the afternoon. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you, fellas.
NBA